Undertale is the new bright and shiny thing that has caught the internet's attention. It already has an extremely devoted fan base that popped up pretty much overnight, with remixes and fan art and memes permeating all of the corners of the internet like YouTube, Reddit, and all the image boards. And for the record, I agree, Goat Mom is best mom. My question is, how did this little 6-hour indie game do what it did? It's become one of the highest rated PC games of all time, standing up there with Half-Life 2, Portal 2, Grand Theft Auto 5. It's currently number 11 on the highest rated games of all time on PC. The next highest indie game under that is Minecraft at number 23. So what is it? What about this game makes it get higher scores than the greatest indie success story of all time, and have counted amongst its peers games like BioShock and Skyrim and Baldur's Gate? Its comparisons to Earthbound can only get it so far. I mean, humor does drive the scores up, I'm sure. But there's something else about it that I think resonates a lot more with people because they don't see it that much anymore, especially in games, and that is hope. On the surface, no pun intended, the game does look like just a typical JRPG that draws a lot from Earthbound. You've got simplistic and cartoony characters and a very minimalist overworld design. Of course, there's also a fair share of quirky, self-aware, fourth wall breaking dialogue. In my opinion, though, that's kind of where the comparisons end. Not only to Earthbound, to RPGs in general. Most turn-based JRPGs involve just choosing an action and letting everything play out in front of you with little to no involvement with the player. That is completely not the case with Undertale. Every enemy in the game has a completely unique attack that has to be dodged manually. The same goes with player attacks. Whenever you attack an enemy, you get a little mini-game where you have to hit the bar directly in the middle of the screen to do massive damage. But should you attack is the question that you'll be asking yourself. This is the first time that the theme of hope comes into play. The game trusts you to make the right decision. You're completely able to play this game like a typical RPG and kill everything in sight, take all the loot and money, and just be on your way. But the game hopes that you won't. And if you do, it will remember, and it will bring it up later, believe me. The characters, and by extension the game itself, places its faith in you that you will find a resolution where nobody has to die. So much so that that is actually the requirement to get the true ending to the game. And mechanically, finding out the reason that a monster attacked you and getting a resolution where it just moves on is a much more rewarding experience anyway. Because trust me, if you're looking for puzzles in the traditional RPG sense, you're not going to find them here. The ones that you do find are simple as hell. I mean, they're funny, and they're one of the main draws of the game as far as subverting RPG tropes and making you laugh. But they're just not rewarding in the traditional sense. I mean, hell, even finding the hidden weapons in the game are as simple as going down completely obvious paths and just finding them out in the open, so yeah, interacting with the characters is where this game shines. Speaking of characters, that's where hope rears its head again. You'll meet several interesting people as you make your way through Undertale. Among these are Sans and Papyrus, the two skeleton brothers that speak exclusively in the fonts that they're named after. Undine, who's a warrior fish thing lady that's a little bit too naive for her own good. And Alphys, a socially awkward otaku scientist dinosaur. Yes, you heard that right. She's awesome, by the way. There's also a bunch of equally awesome and hilarious minor characters that you'll run into. Now, not everybody in the game initially greets you as an enemy, but for the ones that do, you do have the ability to spare them, which I touched on before when talking about the combat system. Some spared enemies can even be befriended. This gives Undertale the ability to do what most games don't, and that is to give everyone, including minor enemies, an arc. And these arcs change depending on how you play the game. The only thing that remains constant, however, is the sense of positivity. For some characters it might be learning that it's okay to be themselves, or they're fine in their own skin. For others it might be how they can be the hero they want to be, or not being so passive with their lives. Even the damn NPCs are happy, even though they know they don't really have a reason to be. Even if you play the game the complete antithesis that it wants you to, which, if you do, by the way, you're an absolute monster, Some of the characters even hold on to the hope that you'll stop killing them and be a better person. It's absolutely soul-crushing to watch. Basically, it boils down to every character is well written, including the enemies. You don't hate any of them. Most of them you'll end up adoring, or at the very least, feeling sorry for them. You won't want anybody to die, and thankfully, nobody has to. It's fantastic and groundbreaking. The game's sense of humor also helps drive home the point that everything will be okay. Sometimes the characters make groan-worthy puns, other times they make legitimate laugh-out-loud jokes. And very rarely are these jokes referential. I mean, there's a few here and there, but most of the time they're just generally well-written setups and punchline. I was astounded with the frequency at which I was laughing at this game, and if I wasn't laughing, I was smiling. And to make me laugh that hard takes really good writing. Believe me, there are plenty of other things that I could talk about that just drive this theme of hope home with Undertale, but I just can't in good conscience talk about them. To do so would spoil things that are just better left to experience on your own. Undertale is just one of those things that comes by every once in a while and takes everybody by surprise. Nobody expected it, nobody knew that they wanted it, but as soon as they play it, they just realize that there was something missing in their lives. And I know that sounds sappy, but it's true. I came away from Undertale different than I went in. I'm amazed that Toby Fox was able to create a game that not only stands up to the almost personification of nihilism and negativity that is the internet, but actually to be embraced by it. Very rarely does something this staunchly positive come out, and even rarer still are times that it does come out and people embrace it. And super grimdark and drama seem to be the name of the game these days, and that shit's easy to write. Comedy isn't. Positivity that doesn't come off as saccharine and just unnatural isn't. And Toby Fox did that with flying colors in Undertale. Not only did he write the game, he was also one of the main designers, one of the programmers. He wrote all the music that you've been hearing through this review. It is insane that this man was able to do this with so few people. And you owe it to yourself to play this game. Seriously. It's $10. It's on Steam right now. Just get it and support stuff like this. I don't even know what to say anymore. Just support it.